Alright guys, so this officially does it for the Aquila display cabinet. It is now fully completed and I'm very excited to be at this point. This is the absolute longest I've ever spent on a single project, and I'm so glad to have it done, not only because now I get to actually enjoy this piece of furniture, but because I now get to move on to all the other things I've been thinking of over the past few months. I have a ton of different types and styles and different hobbies and different types of projects that I want to get going on, and I just have this long list currently saved up, and I'm just going to kind of start checking things off soon. And I'm very excited about that. Now, looking back at the cabinet here, this is probably going to be one of my all-time favorite pieces of furniture I will ever make. Mostly because of just kind of the period of my life in which it existed in. Because right now, while I've been transitioning into this new position at my job, I started this job as kind of a part-time thing to make a little bit of extra money until YouTube someday kicks off. And kind of over the span of the last 6 months, I've kind of transitioned from that thinking of, someday YouTube's going to kick off and that'll be my job, but for now this will work, to now I kind of have a bit of a career. And it's nice to kind of change my mindset there, because it's not that I don't believe in YouTube, it's more so it's just a much more balanced way of looking at life. Which is very important, because one of the things I definitely struggled with, especially early on with this project, was being able to afford all the different parts that go into it. Everything from the stained glass to the lumber to the hardware, everything to do with this cabinet, or at least getting the materials for this cabinet, was very, very expensive, and I struggled quite a bit at the beginning. But now that I'm in a bit of a better paying job, and I'm getting more hours and whatnot, things are starting to stabilize a little bit more, which is really good. It means I can actually devote more time to all these different hobbies and creating all this different stuff and making these YouTube videos. And then someday when YouTube does take off as well, I can have that kind of dual income supporting this whole hobby that I have, or this whole craft. So I'm very excited about that. But again, looking back at this cabinet, this thing has some of my absolute favorite features. A lot of the design that went into this specific piece, in my opinion, it's actually really awesome. And the hardest part about that to me is a lot of the design decisions that were made with this cabinet were reactionary decisions, which is, it's kind of funny to think about, but even I talked about this in the first video all the way to the end, is things like why I chose to paint the inside or why I chose to use the trim. It started out because I had that really crappy cherry with a ton of sapwood around the edges, so I had to find a way to make that work, and the best way to do that was by throwing on a little bit of trim, and I think that has completely changed the way that this project looked. Same thing with painting the whole interior, and at the very end of the videos you guys saw, I painted the drawers. All these little design decisions led to making this piece something that is totally unique and interesting. And of course, the best last minute design decision that I made was changing up that stained glass. Going through and doing something that is much more complicated, but also much more the style that I want to do going forward. That was just an awesome choice, and I'm very glad that I kind of took the risk and went for it, because this is the end result of this cabinet is just amazing in my opinion. And again, I know not everyone is going to like this specific style, using paint or using the stained glass, whatever, right? Everyone has their own tastes and preferences. And I think this piece will always be one that is very important to me, because I feel like I'm kind of starting a new era of my woodworking, where I'm not just worrying about trying to be good at woodworking, I'm trying to think about how I can constantly be improving. And I've reached a point now where I do start to recognize that I do have some skill as a woodworker. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm one of the best out there. In fact, I still think I've got a lot to learn as a woodworker. But I can definitely start to recognize that I do have just a little bit of skill, which for me is something that it's been kind of challenging to, figure out whether it's just skill or dumb luck. And so when I look at this project, again, it just makes me feel really, really confident moving forward that no matter what project I decide to do in the future, I have a very good chance of being able to pull it off. It might take me a very long time, but eventually I can figure out how to finish off that project and get it to the point where it does look absolutely amazing. So as always, guys, I do hope you enjoy this project, and I will see you in the next one.